So who are we then? Who are we to say, I want more? How dare us say, I just want a little bit more? Does that ever creep into your mind? I know it did for me in the beginning when I made my first $1 million a year. I felt really guilty about that. And I think subconsciously when we hear stuff like this and we realize that 3 billion people live on $2.50 a day, unconsciously a lot of us sabotage our success. But I have to remind you guys, the bottom line is this. If you want to make a dent in the universe, like Steve Jobs says, and you want to make a difference in your community, if you want to leave a legacy for your family, if you want to help more people, like it or not, the only way to do it is to become as financially successful as possible. To live up to your full potential. Living up to your full potential does not mean succeeding at the expense of others. It means succeeding so that you can help out others. My favorite quote, you can get anything in the world that you want if you help enough people get what they want. That's Zig Ziglar. One of my mentors, even though he's been dead for several years, some of my mentors have been dead for over 100 years, but they're still my mentors. And Zig is one of them. I'm going to talk about another one right now. So the elite dental practice, we're going to be talking a lot about my model for the elite dental practice. And you know, guys, this comes from my work in the trenches, building up 6 successful dental offices. But it's not just that. It's now that I have followers, I guess, all over the world, and I have clients literally internationally, and we get to analyze numbers and hear stories about challenges and frustrations in dental offices, and I get the privilege of trying to figure out how to fix those things. So it's not because I'm smart, it's because all this stuff comes across my desk and you start to see patterns. And the patterns that I've put together are what I call the elite practice. The elite practice model, the elite practice blueprint, the elite practice manifesto. You're going to hear us talking about a lot of these documents. And we're not going to hold any of it back this weekend. This isn't one of those conferences where I talk for 3 days about why you need to join us. I'm going to show you exactly what we do to fix practices, exactly. And if you want to join us for a little bit further coaching, you can do that, or not. You can take all the information that I'm giving you, and it's all right there, and run with it. If you're a strong enough leader, you might be able to do that. So the elite practice defined. Foundationally sound. We're talking about mission, vision, core values. Your foundation is strong. All of the best companies in the world, regardless of the industry, start with a strong foundational structure. Type A's, linear left-brainers like us dentists, we have a tendency to want to skip over this stuff. But unless you get this stuff squared away, you don't have a foundation to build anything on. Systematic and orderly, systems. You're going to hear me talk about systems all weekend. Experiences consistent growth. Practice analytics are tracked regularly, and all practice decisions are made in consideration of cash flow and overhead. I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen people hire people at just picking a number out of the sky. You look like a $17 an hour person. You as an office manager look like you're worth about $50,000 a year. You, Miss Hygienist, $48, boom, I could tell, the second you walked in. No analytics, no science behind where we're pricing anything. All decisions about anything in the practice, anything that requires exchange of money needs to be analyzed according to the overhead. And we're going to talk a lot about that this weekend. All right, so here it is. Here's the elite practice blueprint. Every single one of these boxes has a system attached to it. There's a full-size version of this in your book, so don't try to squint and figure it out. We'll talk a lot about these systems. Foundation, mission, vision, core values, operational systemization. That comes down to an operations manual, a single document that tells anybody that walks into that building, this is how we do things here. This is how we do things as a sterile tech. This is how we do things as a lead assistant. This is how we do things as a regular back office assistant. This is how the billing department does things. These are the forms that they use. These are pictures of exactly what all the common areas of our practice look like when things are perfect. This is an operations manual, and it runs the practice. And your awesome team runs the systems. Not you, your team. Lifetime patient experience. The bottom line is, it's not all about what people accept at the original treatment plan appointment. It is about a lifetime patient experience. We talk about 20 years as a lifetime patient experience, as a lifetime patient value, $45,000 lifetime patient value. I'll break that down for you tomorrow. But if we can't get them sticky to us, and there's a lot of distraction out there, guys. You're not just competing with the guy down the street. You're competing with Disneyland and big screen TVs and brand new SUVs and family vacations. So if you don't give them a reason to stay with your office, they'll leave to save $5. They will. Lifetime patient experience is a very important system to put into your practice. New patient acquisition. Do you track where each and every new patient comes from? That's the first thing to do before we start talking about all these elaborate marketing campaigns, different media, and costs. Where are they coming from in the first place? I talk later about a case study that I did where she just kept on pumping money into her advertising budget, and the new patients were going up and up and up. So she thought, yeah, this is working, but she really had no idea of the 5 or 6 different things, what was bringing in the new patients, right? So when we stripped it all down for 90 days, we made her track everything. We put tracking telephone numbers on every single piece that was going out. Turns out that 80% of the people that were coming in were from internal referrals. So we just slashed her advertising budget and nothing happened to the new patient acquisition. But she never would have known that. She would have done that for 20 years, spending $6,000 a month on advertising because she didn't know that her patients were bringing in the patients, not her postcard mailer. Those are the things that you all have to know about your business. Okay, and then overhead and cash flow control. I'm not going to belabor that point because we're going to speak about that for 90 minutes this afternoon. Okay, so the good news and the bad news. The good news. Over the next 2 days, you'll receive all the systems, tactics, and strategies necessary to become an elite dental practice. The bad news. Regardless of the quality and thoroughness of the tools that I give you, no improvement or progress or change will occur unless the owner of the practice will commit to just one thing. This is one thing that a lot of these types of seminars gloss over, because we're trying to make you guys happy. And you're type A, and you're analytical, and you're left brain, and you want tactics and strategies and systems and tangible stuff to walk away with in a book back to your office to get going. That's how we think. We're scientists. But you must become an effective leader, because I talk about this every time I get up on stage, but how many times have you guys left a seminar fired up and ready to get it done? You assemble the team. You say, okay, guys, here we go. We're going to roll this new system out. They roll their eyes because you do this every time you leave town. And they whisper to each other, that's okay. He'll forget about this in 2 weeks. What happens is we don't remain an effective leader. We don't maintain that momentum to keep that new system going. And that all comes down to leadership. I have a mantra in my head now, because I struggled with this for a long, long time. I was the worst leader in the world when I had those 6 practices. And I'm going to talk more about that stuff, but holy cow, I was a terrible leader. I didn't know the names of half of the 50 people that worked for me. And I'd roll into the office and I'd huff and puff because things were out of place and things looked inefficient, and I just wanted things a certain way. I was not an effective leader. And if you're not an effective leader, you're going to get a very low level of performance from your people. by definition.